Welcome to this training section where we are going to be talking about insurance. Now, insurance is an important part of business. It's important to kind of understand at least, hey, when am I going to need insurance? How is it important? All that kind of stuff. And so sometimes some members of the community, sometimes people in the program ask, hey, do I need insurance of any kind? And the answer to that question, which you may not necessarily exactly want to hear, is it depends. Okay. And so I want to go ahead and make clear from the very beginning of this is that there is a training disclaimer here. Okay. So we are holding companies, any of our DBAs, we are not, and the point of this entire program is to not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice, right? So even when we talk about the corporations, we're not providing accounting advice, we're not providing legal advice, we're not providing tax advice, we're not providing insurance advice. We are not tax, legal, or accounting professionals. All of what we're doing is we're just providing you general information knowledge. So that way you're more empowered and equipped around, hey, what are the questions that I should be asking? How should I be thinking about this, right? And of course, that's also the reason why we have an amazing community, because we're going to have people in the community who are specialized in this, who are professionals in these topics. And so that way we can all grow and learn together as a community. There is no guru on the mountain here and where you're looking for us to be able to give you all the answers, right? This is why we give the training disclaimers. We say, hey, you know what? Let's work together as a community. Let's bring in experts who specialize in these things. And that's going to be something that we definitely go ahead and do in the community as well, is that, hey, if we see that a lot of people in the community in the program are requesting this and are struggling with this, hey, we'll go out there, we'll make some partnerships, we'll negotiate with some different providers, we'll go ahead and bring in the experts and the specialists to actually do maybe some webinars, some coaching calls, some master classes. Maybe they give us some, amazing deals and we can negotiate some amazing deals for our community. All of that is only going to happen when you engage in the community and let us know exactly what it is that you are looking for and want out of the program. And so that's exactly what we're going to do inside of this training section, is just walk you through some of the questions to think about when it comes to insurance. Okay. So, hey, when will I actually need insurance? So some of those people who are maybe in the program who, let's say, for example, have a background being medical professionals like physicians or licensed therapists, right? And then they're adding wellness or, training or this kind of stuff on top of what they are already offering, right? What happens is that they will probably be familiar with this entire idea of insurance, right? Especially medical professionals is malpractice insurance and those kinds of things. And so what ends up happening is that this topic of insurance is a huge element when it comes to something called scope of practice. Scope of practice means, hey, inside of what it is that I am registered or certified to be able to do, am I going ahead and sticking within my scope of practice? Or is the way that I may be recommending it, let's say, for example, you're like, you know what, I'm going to prescribe this. And you even using the word prescribe might be out of your scope of practice if you're maybe not a medical professional, right? And so you got to make sure that you're preserving your scope of practice and you're protecting that. And so when it comes to insurance, especially for most health and wellness professionals, the guidelines that the industry gives, it's very clear here. It's just like, hey, if you're sticking to general education, right? And all you're doing is you're helping your students. Sometimes you call them students, sometimes you call them clients. If you're helping your clients or your students just develop skills and education around living a healthier life of wellness, then there's not really insurance that's required in order to help Tina walk more and eat less cookies and go to bed on time, right? So if you're staying within that scope of practice, then you're really not going above what you're allowed to do, right? Because all you're doing is hey, general information purposes, you give the disclaimers, you say, hey, you know what? I'm just giving you some general information. Now, if you go and God forbid you tell Tina, hey, don't take this medication, wrong, do not say that. Terrible, okay? Very, very bad, okay? Because of the fact that you are now going out of your scope of practice, right? There's a box of what you're allowed to do as a general wellness practitioner, okay? In the same way that, hey, if Tina's mom or Tina's friend was helping her eat less cookies and walk more and go to bed on time, that's just general wellness education, right? That's just stuff even on the internet that's available there, right? But then when it comes to, hey, medication, stuff like that, right? Maybe Tina has a condition, a medical condition. You're now going outside of your scope of practice, right? Either above or below, right? You're telling her, hey, don't do this or do this, right? Don't over here, don't, or do this. That's outside of your scope of practice now. And so what you need to understand, especially when it comes to insurance, is that you always, very important, make sure that you tell your clients to consult with their medical professionals before making any changes that are outside of the scope of common sense. This is very important. And here's the thing. If you're not sure, and this is where you got to develop that skill. It's okay if you're not sure, right? You don't have to always have all the answers. If you're not sure, do not make things up, right? Just tell them like, hey, I'm not sure about this. I'm going to check in on this and I'll get back to you, right? And so as long as you're sticking within your scope of practice, then guess what? You're going to be good to go. And again, remember, this only applies if you're doing, let's say, for example, like virtual education, like you're just providing general knowledge, like this kind of stuff, right? So in that case, sure. insurance is not going to be a requirement for general education programs, especially for those who are planning on doing, like I said, remote health coaching. Now, again, I'm going to go ahead and put the caveat there. I'm going to go ahead and put the asterisk here, right? The disclaimer here. The way that we have understood it is the way that we have been recommended, the way that somebody has told us is that there is no insurance that is required for that, okay? However, if you feel that maybe that isn't correct, if you feel that this needs to be checked up on, again, we're just giving you general knowledge, right? So even we're practicing what we preach here, right? So we're just giving you general knowledge. If you're not sure, you got to go out and check for yourself, okay? So that's, of course, in the remote health coaching general education space, okay? But when you talk about specifically, we talk about in the gym, or maybe, for example, you're going to be a personal trainer, or you're actually going to be working hands-on with somebody, or you're going to have a facility of your own, right? Especially in that case, right? If you're working at a gym, you're providing services, all that kind of stuff. Yes, in that case, of course, you're a kind of employee of the gym. So there's no insurance that is needed because the facility is going to take care of that. But let's say, for example, if you yourself are the facility, right? If you yourself are going to be on your own, right? The liability is on you. You're going to be providing personal training, corrective exercise, physical therapy, massage therapy, etc. Then yes, having insurance is recommended and even required depending on the state by state laws. There's a lot of legality around this. Of course, there's no one size fits all, right? So that's the reason why you got to understand, and this is what we're doing, is we're providing you the questions, the scenarios, the thought process to work yourself through, so that way you can actually just open your mind up. And hey, trust me, nowadays, with AI, with Google, with trying to find professionals out there, there is no question that you cannot get answered if you actually go out and look for the answers and consult with the right people and the right services, okay? So you can find the answer, but there is no one size fits all for every situation or every single state or every single city. It doesn't work like that. And so in the same way, let's say, for example, you are renting out a facility. In that case, normally insurance is going to be required. In fact, some facilities when you're renting out will not even allow you to rent out unless you have your insurance in place. So let's say, for example, going to be doing personal training out of your garage, right? Or you're going to be kind of doing it in a client's home or at a park, right? Insurance is going to be required because who's the one who is the professional leading these sessions? It's going to be you. The same thing applies also. So let's say, for example, you're a massage therapist, right? You're going to offer, hey, I'm going to go on the go massages where I'm going to take my chair and offer a massage on the go. Typically, insurance is going to be required in those situations as well. Now, there are tons of different insurance providers out there that specifically work with health and wellness professionals. So this is going to be where you're going to have to flex your resourcefulness muscle, do a little bit of research, see what's out there, and kind of talk to some people around this. And of course, if this is something that you need, this is the reason why we've built this program as a community-based program. Like I said earlier, if this is something you need, you have to be vocal about it. You have to go ahead and let us know about that. You have to let the other community members know about that. You can go ahead and kind of recruit other community members and other people who are in the program and say, hey, this is something we need. So that way we can make sure that the entire community is prioritizing that, and we can go ahead and really bring in those types of, negotiate those partnerships, find out who's a specialization in that, bring in people who can do master classes and further educate the entire community. Because the truth is, there's no guru on the mountain. We're all learning together throughout this entire process, and we're just sharing with you what has worked for us. And guess what? We're going to learn even more from the community. We're going to just continue to learn from everybody else and then just package up exactly what the best approaches and best methods are, so that we can go ahead and share it with the rest of the community as well, so that we can go ahead and actually decentralize and get the best learnings out to everyone. And so that's exactly what is said here at the end part of this guide as well. If you're unsure, reach out to the community for the support. And if you are sure, let's say, for example, you have gone through this process, don't just hold the knowledge to yourself. Come on. Like, if you go through this process, let's say you talk to somebody, you learn something, go ahead and drop it in the community. Go ahead and share that, because I promise you there's going to be other people who are going to have the answers to the challenges that you are going to have in the future, and they're going to learn stuff. And if we don't create an entire culture of sharing as you learn it, then it's not going to be something that you're going to be able to benefit from, and other people are not going to be able to benefit from either. So make sure you go ahead and share that. That is the importance of the community. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been this training section about insurance. Again, just a primer. We're purposefully leaving it open-ended here, so that way there is a little bit of crowdsourcing going on in terms of, hey, if you go out and learn stuff, if you go out and figure something out, if you go and talk to somebody, please go ahead and share it. And now we've gone ahead and provided a little bit of a base, a little bit of an introduction of, empowering you around what questions to ask and what are the things that you could be thinking through. But with that being said, make sure you go ahead and let us know in the community what else you'd like to know about this, and we will catch you in the next training section.